Hi, everyone. Welcome back. Today, I wanted to talk more about something that has honestly changed my life. Um, and it's part of, what we're talking about, but it's learning how to become more clear, and intentional. So, because the truth is, most people are not actually living intentionally. They're surviving, they're reacting, and they're running on autopilot. So, waking up, going through the motions, handling the responsibilities, you know, going to work, coming home, making dinner, um, watching TV or reading the paper, whatever you do, and going to bed and waking up and going to work, coming home, making dinner, going to bed, and over and over and over again. And they put themselves last and, just kind of put it on repeat. And after a while, you kind of look around and you wonder how you even got here. I'm probably going to age myself, but it just kind of makes me think of that Talking Head song of, you know, I wish I knew how to put a clip in. I would put it in there, but, and it's just kind of, this is not my house. This is not my beautiful wife. And it's just kind of, how did I get here? So I think one of the hardest things in life is realizing that you spent so much time trying to keep everything together that you forgot to actually check in with yourself. So this is why it's so hard to just kind of remember, what do you want? What do you want out of your life, and what do you want out of your day, out of your week, out of your month? What and your out of your future, your present self, because you have to think about, everything that you do now and or in your future self, I'm sorry, because whatever you do now as your present self is, essentially, you're obviously building your life. So um you just have to try to think about, what actually makes you happy and keep those things kind of in the forefront of your mind. Obviously, you're gonna just have to go through and, like, today and yesterday, I feel like I just had one of those crazy days. I got up, for example, I got up, I went to work, I got done with work, I had to go to a doctor's appointment, so I had to drive like half hour to my doctor's appointment. Went there. As soon as I left there, I had to go right to the gym. As soon as I left the gym, I had to go right home, and I'm on town board meeting or town board. So we had a town board meeting yesterday. So as soon as I got home, I went to that meeting, and then I got home, I think, at like 7:30, and kind of just said hi, how are you, to the family, and then before you know it, it was time to go to bed. Today, I got up, I had to go to work. I had a friend to help. I had to help a friend after work, and then as soon as I was done with that, I had to go to Olean, or I had to go um to I went and got my nails done, and then after that, I came home, and it's late. So it's just kind of one of those times where you just go, 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 and then your day is over. But I wanted to make sure that, because my part of being clear and what I want to do and the responsibilities that I have in the forefront of my mind is creating these videos to help with my workshop and to help you guys, and this is part of what aligns with me, and this is part of a goal that I have. So I had to make sure that I got this done today. And so that's just kind of, sometimes you have to hit the brakes and you have to take that time and just bring yourself back, and just kind of give yourself that little bit of a check and kind of restart. So, sorry. And then, so you just have to kind of think about what being intentional really means. So you just have to start choosing your life instead of just like reacting. So it's choosing your habits, your mindset, your environment, your boundaries, your priorities, and the way that you speak to yourself. And it's asking, does this align with the person that I'm becoming? And honestly, that question alone kind of changes everything. If you think about everything that you're doing, you have to just kind of think about, my favorite thing is, if you're saying yes to one thing, then you're saying no to something else. Like, so if I say yes to, this thing, is that saying no to the goals that I have? So, that's kind of helps me a little bit with sticking on my straight path. It's not obviously as easy as that all the time, but that is something that has kind of helped me. Like for instance, like going out or drinking or anything. Like I don't drink alcohol, so it's kind of been, but I like being social with my friends and stuff. But I've kind of just decided that my goals are important to me, so I can still go out and I can still have a good time, but I'm gonna say no to, drinking alcohol, because then it's kind of not against, but it's not aligned with the goals that I have for myself. So I don't know if that helps at all. Um, so when you start becoming intentional, you stop saying yes to the things that drain you, and that's pretty important because you have to, and you'll start to know, you you'll start to feel it. You just and it kind of goes for the same way that you have with people that don't really fill your bucket. I have noticed that I just don't feel good when I'm around them. I don't feel good. I will physically feel drained when when I leave their company. And then when I'm around good people and happy people and people that are doing good for other people, it makes me feel good. So you just kind of have to watch that energy too that you're allowing yourself to take in, because I truly believe in that too. Is that, the vibe or the aura or whatever you want to call it, that somebody else is putting off. I truly I truly believe that that can kind of um bring you down and bog you down too. So you've got to be kind of mindful of that. You, um, the One thing that I've also learned personally is that clarity often comes from subtracting things from your life, not necessarily adding anything to your life. Um, we need to um, we need more motivation, I think, and we need less noise. So we need less distractions, and we kind of sometimes we need less people pulling away from ourselves. Um, you obviously you don't have to figure out everything overnight. You need to just start asking yourself some honest questions, like what no longer feels aligned, what drains my energy, what do I secretly want more of, and what version of myself am I becoming? Because awareness is really starts because being aware is really where transformation starts. Um, so, and I really want to say this because I think a lot of people need to hear it. You don't need permission to start choosing yourself. I literally just said this to somebody, I think maybe yesterday morning. I love her to pieces. She's just so, so sweet. And she always puts everybody um, ahead of herself, and she was just kind of explaining something to me about, um, you know, why she does the things that she does and why this makes her feel good and why whatever. And I just looked at her and I said, honey, I love you so, so much. And it's because I love you that I am saying this to you. But you don't need to explain that to anybody. You don't owe me an explanation. You don't owe, her an explanation. You don't owe Jim Bob down the road an explanation. You, if it makes you feel good and this is what you want to do, and you got that big old smile on your face because life is good, then I want you to do the thing. I want you to tell me about it. I don't want you to explain to me why you're giving yourself permission to to do whatever this thing is. So I just think that it's pretty important to it's not selfish and it's healthy. You're allowed to protect your peace, you're allowed to grow, you're allowed to change your mind, you are allowed to evolve. And sometimes being intentional means realizing the old version of yourself is old news. Like don't you don't have to be the same person that you were yesterday. You don't owe anybody anything. If you want to wake up tomorrow and you have a totally different mindset and you want to show up a different person and do that. I want you to do that. If you feel that that is what makes you you, then that's exactly what I want you to do. You don't owe anybody an explanation as to why you're hanging out with this person or wearing what you're wearing or doing the things that make you happy. You just have to remember that you owe it to yourself to do that. So another thing that people often get wrong is waiting for the clarity to take action. But that's not necessarily how it works. You have to kind of start moving in the right direction. You have to start kind of making little changes. And then I think that's when things are going to start becoming more clear. You learn by trying, you grow by doing, and you become more confident by showing up before you are fully ready. So, and that's how transformation actually happens, not perfectly, but consistently. So here's what I want to reflect on today. If you stopped living on autopilot, what would you change? What would you say yes to? What would you walk away from? What would you finally admit to yourself? And most importantly, what kind of life are you trying to create? So I truly believe that becoming clear and intentional is one of the most powerful forms of self-respect, because the moment you stop abandoning yourself, everything begins to shift. So this week I want to challenge you to slow down, check in with yourself, get honest, and make at least one intentional decision that aligns with the person that you're becoming. Not what you're used to, not what others expect you to be, not who others expect you to be, I'm sorry, but who you truly want to become. Okay? So I think that's super, super important. And I also just I know I've kind of gone on a couple rants this time, I'm sorry, but I also just kind of want to point out too that, okay, so if I can leave you with anything personal tonight is this. I know what it feels like to spend so much time trying to survive, perform, and hold everything together, that you slowly lose connection with yourself. I've had seasons where I've looked like I've had it all together on the outside, but internally I felt confused, disconnected, and unaware of what I truly needed. And learning to become more intentional didn't happen overnight for me. It happened in small moments, choosing myself little by little, setting boundaries, being honest, letting go of things that no longer aligned, trusting myself enough to evolve. I'm still growing, I'm still learning, and I'm still becoming. I mean, I'm working on this is year 5. The more honest I become with myself, the more peaceful my life has become. And that is it's super, super, super important to me. My peace in my life is very important to me. So I want you to just remember that. So if you're in the season where you feel lost, overwhelmed, or unclear, you're not failing. You may simply be in the middle of rediscovering yourself. It's okay. So give yourself permission to slow down, reflect, to grow, and to change. Because clarity is not about having all of the answers by any means. It's about finally being able to listen to yourself again. And I hope this week at least you choose at least one intentional thing, one decision, one boundary, one habit, one moment of self respect that moves you closer to the person that you truly, truly want to be. I'm proud of you for being here. I have this quote that I wanted to share with you. It's by Alan Watts, and it says, "You are under no obligation to be who you were 5 minutes ago." And I also, just for fun, in the description, I'm gonna add the link for the Talking Head song, "Once in a Lifetime." It's a good song if you've already heard it. It's a great song to listen to again. And if you haven't heard it, you're welcome. Okay, bye guys.